The judge's dilemma. In the bustling city of Avondale, where the streets thrummed with the pulse of commerce and the grand courthouse stood as a symbol of justice, there was a judge known for his unwavering integrity and keen sense of fairness. Judge Alistair Bennett, with his sharp mind and imposing presence, had presided over countless cases, earning the respect and admiration of his peers and the community. Judge Bennett was a man of principle, guided by a strong moral compass and a deep commitment to the rule of law. His courtroom was a place where justice was not just a word but a living ideal, upheld with diligence and compassion. Despite his stern exterior, those who knew him well recognized a man who cared deeply about the people he served. One crisp autumn morning, Judge Bennett arrived at the courthouse to find a case that would challenge his principles and test the very foundation of his beliefs. The case involved a young man named Ethan Caldwell, who was accused of embezzling a significant sum of money from his employer, a well-respected charity organization. The evidence against Ethan was damning: forged documents, missing funds, and a trail leading directly to his bank account. Ethan, a bright and promising accountant, had maintained his innocence from the outset. He claimed that he was being framed, but his explanations had been dismissed by the prosecution as desperate attempts to evade responsibility. As the trial began, the courtroom was filled with tension, the air heavy with the weight of the accusations. Judge Bennett listened intently as the prosecution presented their case, laying out the evidence with meticulous detail. The prosecutor, a seasoned attorney named Margaret Stone, was relentless, painting a picture of a man driven by greed and willing to betray the trust placed in him. When it was time for the defense to present their case, Ethan's attorney, a passionate and determined woman named Laura Hastings, rose to her feet. She argued that the evidence, while compelling, was circumstantial and that there were inconsistencies that pointed to a different conclusion. She called witnesses who testified to Ethan's character and dedication to the charity, casting doubt on the prosecution's narrative. Judge Bennett's keen eyes missed nothing. He observed Ethan closely, noting the young man's earnestness and the desperation in his eyes. He scrutinized the evidence, weighing each piece with the care of a man who understood the gravity of his role. As the trial progressed, a breakthrough came when Laura presented new evidence, an email trail suggesting that another employee had the opportunity and motive to commit the crime. The courtroom buzzed with renewed interest, and Judge Bennett ordered a recess to allow for a thorough investigation of the new information. During the recess, Judge Bennett retreated to his chambers, deep in thought. He knew that the new evidence could turn the case on its head, but he also recognized the importance of maintaining a clear and unbiased perspective. He reviewed the case files again, searching for any overlooked details that might shed light on the truth. When the trial resumed, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. The new evidence was scrutinized, and the alternative suspect was brought in for questioning. Under cross-examination, the cracks in the prosecution's case began to show. It became apparent that the investigation had been hurried, and critical leads had been ignored. Judge Bennett called both attorneys to his chambers. He expressed his concerns about the initial investigation and the need for a fair and just resolution. He emphasized that the court's duty was not only to convict the guilty but also to protect the innocent. Back in the courtroom, Judge Bennett addressed the jury. His voice was steady and authoritative. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, our task is not to hastily rush to judgment but to seek the truth with diligence and impartiality. We must consider all the evidence, old and new, and ensure that justice is served." The jury deliberated for hours, the weight of their responsibility evident on their faces. When they finally returned, the tension in the room was palpable. The foreman stood and delivered the verdict, "Not guilty." Ethan collapsed in relief, tears streaming down his face, as the realization of his exoneration sank in. Judge Bennett felt a profound sense of satisfaction, knowing that justice had prevailed. He addressed the court one final time. "Today, we have seen the importance of thorough investigation and the necessity of remaining open to new evidence. Let this case be a reminder of our duty to seek the truth above all else." In the days that followed, Judge Bennett continued his work with renewed vigor, inspired by the knowledge that justice, while sometimes elusive, was worth pursuing with every ounce of one's being. Ethan, grateful for his second chance, dedicated himself to restoring his reputation and continuing his work for the charity. The story of Judge Bennett and the case of Ethan Caldwell became a legend in Avondale, a testament to the power of integrity, the importance of perseverance, and the enduring quest for justice. It reminded the people of Avondale that in a world often fraught with challenges, the pursuit of truth and fairness could illuminate even the darkest of paths.